Looking back on the report from Shannon Horton, we ask, in what ways do your media projects use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Well, I would say that her media project uses, develops or challenge forms and conventions of real media products by using the template design for Q magazine. This is for the contents page and for the double page spread. She also used elements of Q for the front cover, yet she mainly used the Kerrang elements for that cover, which is also another convention in itself. Another real media project that helped with the formation of this product was Metal Hammer magazine, as it helped with the colour scheme. In terms of challenging typical conventions, Challenge magazine challenged the normal convention of the depressive theme that is usually connotated with rock. She didn't use as many blacks and as many shades of dark tones that would have been used in normal magazines. She didn't also use the gothic texts that would have been typical. She went for a sort of neater look and a brighter aspect of the magazine itself. She also used typical fonts to display non-typical things, like coming back from a riot, or like she says for the contents page, Shannon Horton returns, which usually would have been in Kerrang magazine, rather spiky writing like Gothic Sans. However, she used Franklin, which was actually a much more neater font. When she attracted the audience, she did it in a way where she involved bright colours such as reds and yellows and oranges, which also accommodated summer, which people usually get out and go, which was what she wanted to convey within her colours. She also attracted her audience with things like call-outs on the front saying free posters, which also attracted the audience further. She used very bright call-outs like arrows and stars and things, which brought a sort of attention to it. The vibrancy and the saturation also attracted the audience in this way. The other magazines, Simons and Barney's, will be typical of attracting the audience in this way as well. A cheap price also attracts the audience. In terms of dressing the audience, she used a very go chic kind of style, which was basically using superlatives like get up and go, using commanding language, which was expressing the text. She also used interview techniques, which kind of livened up the magazine. In terms of learning technologies, she said in an interview that I learnt mainly from Photoshop. Photoshop was once a myth to me, yet now as I progress on my media journey, I know how to edit basic pictures to make them seem more accessible to the right audience.
I believe that my music magazine, Awake, will be distributed by the Boa Media Group because they're a very large company, firstly, obviously, and they distribute Q magazine, which is one of the largest rock magazines in the UK, very well known, been around quite a long time, and into a lot of major artists such as Muse, Foo Fighters, Florence and the Machines, mainly quite a lot of people. And Kerrang, which is goes back to more of the origins of rock, whereas Q is more modern and does more pop, but it still talks about rock, essentially. But Kerrang is more heavy rock, with more vibrant and bright colours, with yellows and reds, whereas with Q it is more mainly just reds and blacks. I think that Barney's magazine will probably appeal most to Boa magazine in terms of a Kerrang perspective, because of the colours that he's used in his front cover, the yellows and the reds, and the typography that he has used is very vibrant and loud, which is very similar to how Kerrang design their magazines. Whereas my magazine is slightly more Q because it's more simple and elegant approach, without using as much extravagantic text and bright colours. Mine is just trying to create a point and make it so it looks as best as it can be without going over the top, which is hopefully why I hope that they would like to distribute it. Audience for my music magazine Awake will be independent artists, because I felt that there's only one major magazine which is representing them, which is Q, because Kerrang tend to focus more on the more heavy rock genre, and Q has been very successful in targeting part of the indie genre. So I believe that if I got my music magazine, into the same, competing against Q at a cheaper price, then quite a few people would buy it as an alternative, because it has been very well laid out to make it look like professional. There's a lot of time spent on it, making sure that it looks as good as it can possibly be. Before starting to create firstly my prelim and then onto my front cover, double page spread and contents page, I already had a very good understanding on Photoshop as I've done media studies at GCSE, but I've learned to use Photoshop even more using tools such as the burn tool, dodge. I've learned more about the Magic Wand tool, and I've learned more about how to use the gradients and how to affect certain images, and the filters such as cutout, which I was quite a fan of in this, and I used it quite a lot. Looking back at my preliminary task, I feel that I have learned in progression to my final products is that to make the layout look more professional, it needs to be simpler, because in my preliminary task it was very squiff, very unprofessional, because bits were all over the place. There were multiple images when there should really have only been one. In the final product it was a lot more simple, less text, different colours of text to make it stand out more, and there was a single main image. Just one image, just to make it look as professional as it could possibly be, with a gradient on the background, so it looks similar to Q but not copying. People said that the layout for my front cover suited the genre very well, and it was very appropriate. People said that I should change the colour of the Coldplay text and the colour of the Barney Haig Wright text from gold to a different, more appropriate colour.
How does your media product represent particular social groups? Our media product is based on the magazine Kerrang, which is aimed at the 15 to 24 age bracket. And to try and achieve this, we would have magazines of Kerrang and other things, mainly just Kerrang and any other similar genre magazines, and try and see if we can recreate its style and house style and sort of things. And to do this we use things like the colour choice is important, because we have to possibly have vivid and quite striking colours rather than, say, a magazine aimed at an older audience. So it would have more like reds and... Okay, for example, so just saying red, yellow, pink, blue, black, and it all goes quite well to kind of shock and try to draw in the attention, and that's basically what we've done with ours, or at least tried to. But yeah, another way is to buy the music actually displayed on it, because most of the music in Kerrang, for example, would be listened to by this age bracket. So, say something like classic rock, it would probably have it wouldn't in an adult market in comparison to just a teenage demographic. Also, we've worked at the idea that, say, if it's written by 17, 16-year-olds, it's more likely to be more in touch rather than writers for a magazine, which are also very likely in touch because the majority of them are young adults that would know this sort of scene. But we figure rather than doing a magazine aimed at something a lot older than us, so yeah, 30, middle age, whatever, it would just, we do what we know, so we play to our strengths in a way. 2/3 of our group are regular Kerrang readers, so we try to recreate the style of Kerrang in the way we write and the way it was designed and laid out. So for example, here is my front cover. I'm not sure if you had to see that, if not I'll put pictures at the end. There's things like splatters and that kind of a sort of an explosion type shape, which it kind of represents more non-conformity and rebellion in a way, and it shows that kind of it's the whole kind of basis of not staying inside the lines and not conforming to society and kind of doing what you want and individualism, and that's how we feel we're representing our particular social group.